Snow was falling the way it only does in small Midwestern towns. Soft, slow, like heaven whispering over rooftops dressed in Christmas lights. Ashley Parker walked through Main Street holding a tray of gingerbread lattes, the scent of cinnamon wrapping around her like a warm memory. But beneath the beauty of the season, an old ache lived in her chest, one tied to a name she hadn't spoken in years. Simon Cole, the man who broke her heart in front of everyone, the man she prayed to forget, and the man she never expected to see again. The town was already buzzing with the winter festival preparations, kids rehearsing carols while volunteers built the big Christmas tree in the square. Ashley tried to drown herself in the holiday cheer, but December had a painful way of remembering things she wished it wouldn't. Every snowflake carried echoes of the past. Every decorated lamppost reflected a version of her she once was. Naive, hopeful, unguarded. The version of her he humiliated. She tightened her scarf, breathing in the icy air. "No looking back," she whispered. But life, especially at Christmas, has a way of reopening doors we nailed shut. Sometimes quietly, sometimes painfully, sometimes beautifully, and sometimes all three at once. Tonight would be one of those nights, and Ashley had no idea it was already unfolding. Just outside of town, a man stepped off a bus with nothing but a worn duffel bag and regret heavy enough to bend his shoulders. Simon hadn't set foot here in years, not since the day he destroyed the only person who ever saw goodness in him. He didn't come back for applause or forgiveness. He came because he couldn't run from truth anymore. His breath trembled in the cold. Lights from Main Street flickered in the distance. It felt like Christmas was calling him home, or perhaps giving him one last chance. He walked slowly, letting the cold sting his skin, grounding him in the reality he chose to face. He rehearsed words he knew would never be enough. How do you apologize for shattering someone publicly? How do you prove change without sounding desperate or rehearsed? He didn't know. But he knew one thing. Ashley deserved to see who he had become. Quietly, humbly, truthfully. Meanwhile, Ashley stepped inside her cafe, the warm glow of string lights dancing over polished wood and peppermint jars. Her customers always said she made the best Christmas drinks in the whole county. Maybe because she poured heart into each one. Maybe because she tried to fill the world with what she once needed. Comfort, hope, gentleness. But no amount of cinnamon or cocoa erased the memory of that day. The day he humiliated her in front of everyone she loved. The wound still glittered beneath the surface like glass under snow. She closed her eyes and let the soft Christmas music calm her thoughts. This season was supposed to be about miracles, wasn't it? About new beginnings. About second chances, at least for people who deserved them. But Ashley had long decided some stories were better left buried. Some people didn't get to return. At least, that's what she believed. Outside, the bells above her cafe door jingled with every customer entering. But one sound was different. Softer, hesitant, almost apologetic. Ashley looked up instinctively, expecting another regular. She froze. Her breath caught. Her heart stumbled. Because there, framed by falling snow, stood the last man she ever thought she'd see. Simon didn't speak. He didn't move. He simply removed his hat, snow dusting his hair, and lowered his gaze like a man approaching sacred ground. Ashley's knees weakened, memories crashing like thunder behind her ribs. Every humiliation, every tear, every unanswered why. The cafe quieted around them, small town chatter fading into a stunned hush. Someone dropped a spoon. Someone whispered, "He's back?" But Ashley didn't hear anything except the sound of her own heartbeat, loud and uneven, fighting between anger and disbelief. Simon's presence was a storm and a confession all at once. And she wasn't ready, not even close. He took one step forward, cautiously, as if approaching a wounded deer that might bolt. "Ashley," his voice cracked, rougher than she remembered. Her name tasted like regret on his tongue. Tears pricked her eyes before she could stop them. She wasn't crying for him. She was crying for the girl she used to be, and for the woman she had become despite him. She forced herself to stand taller, shoulders square, chin lifted. Small towns loved drama, and she refused to give them a show. Not again. Not with him. "What do you want, Simon?" she asked, voice steady but trembling underneath. A simple question, but in his eyes, it landed like a blow. He opened his mouth, then stopped. Words seemed too small for the weight he carried. Finally, he whispered, "I didn't come to ask for anything. I came to tell the truth." Ashley's fingers tightened around the counter edge. Truth. The one thing he never offered her back then. The one thing she didn't know if she could bear now. Before she could answer, children outside began singing carols, their voices floating through the windows like gentle reminders. Silent night, holy night. The melody wrapped around them, softening everything it touched. Christmas had always been Ashley's safe place. But now even the carols couldn't drown the tension in the room. Not when the past was staring her in the eyes. Not when the future shifted with every breath. Simon swallowed hard, nerves raw, heart exposed. He didn't plead. He didn't justify. He simply looked at her like a man seeing a miracle he didn't deserve. There was humility in him. Real humility. The kind no one can fake. The kind forged in silence, loss, and repentance. "Please," he said quietly, barely audible. "Just let me talk to you. One conversation. One chance to show you who I am now." Ashley's pulse raced in her throat. The snow outside thickened as if heaven was listening. She wanted to run. She wanted to stay. She wanted answers she wasn't sure she could handle. Christmas lights flickered across the windows, casting warm colors over Simon's face. Reds of regret, greens of hope, golds of redemption waiting to unfold. And even though she hated it, Ashley felt something she hadn't felt in years. A shift, small, fragile, barely there, but undeniable. Like the first spark on a match, like the beginning of a miracle. She exhaled slowly, steadying her heart. "Sit," she finally said, though she didn't know if she was ready to hear him. Simon nodded, relief breaking through the tension like the first star on a winter night. As he took his seat, the town's Christmas lights glowed brighter, almost knowingly, because sometimes redemption doesn't arrive with trumpets, but with quiet footsteps on a snowy night. Stay until the end, because Christmas still rewrites stories. And this one is just beginning. For a long moment, neither of them said anything. The hum of the espresso machine and the soft Christmas playlist filled the silence that words couldn't reach. Ashley's hand still rested on the counter, knuckles white from how tightly she held on. Simon sat at the nearest table, shoulders slightly hunched like he was trying to make himself smaller. Outside, snow kept falling over Main Street, wrapping the town in a fragile calm. Inside, everything felt loud and sharp, especially the memories. "I don't have much time," Ashley said finally, her voice clipped, professional. Her heart was a mess, but her tone wore a uniform. "I have orders, customers, a festival to help with, so if you came all this way, say what you need to say." Simon swallowed, eyes flickering to the line forming behind her. "I know this isn't the best place," he murmured, "but it's the only one I had the right to walk into." His gaze dropped to the floor again. A woman at the back of the line whispered, "Is that really him?" Someone else muttered, "After what he did at the winter charity drive?" The nerve. Small-town whispers traveled faster than any Christmas carol. Ashley heard every word, even when she pretended she didn't. This cafe was supposed to be her safe place. Now the past had walked in, ordered nothing, and taken a seat. Her stomach twisted. "Look," she said, drawing in a breath. "Whatever you need to unload, keep it short." She wasn't being cruel, at least not intentionally. She was protecting the healed parts of herself from reopening. Simon nodded slowly, as if he understood more than he could say. "I came back because I shouldn't have left things the way I did," he answered. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I know that. But you deserve truth. And I never gave you that." Ashley's chest tightened. Truth. Back then, she would have given anything for just one honest explanation instead of that public spectacle. "Truth or excuses?" she asked, arching a brow. Her question hung between them like frost. Simon didn't flinch this time. "I guess you'll decide which one it is," he replied. A little boy ran up to the counter, interrupting them, cheeks red from the cold. "Miss Ashley, are you still bringing cookies for the Christmas tree lighting tonight?" he asked eagerly. She softened immediately, her expression shifting. "Of course, Luke. Wouldn't miss it," she said, ruffling his beanie. The boy smiled bright, then glanced curiously at Simon. "Who's that?" "Just someone passing through," Ashley answered quickly. Those words cut deeper than she intended, but she couldn't take them back, and maybe she didn't want to. Simon's jaw clenched, but he didn't argue. "Listen, I don't want to mess up your day," he said, quietly standing. "I'll be in town for a little while. If you ever decide you want to talk, I'll be around." He reached into his jacket, pulled out a small folded piece of paper, and slid it across the counter. Then he headed for the door. The bells above the door jingled when he stepped out into the snow again. The warmth of the cafe gave way to the sting of winter air on his face. He exhaled, his breath clouding in front of him like a confession. He had expected hostility, maybe even a drink thrown in his face. What he didn't expect was how much it would hurt to be called someone passing through. Because for a long time this town had been the only place that felt like home, and Ashley had been the center of it. He walked down Main Street slowly, hands deep in his coat pockets. Christmas wreaths hung on every door, red ribbons tied carefully like the whole town had agreed to remember beauty. There was the old hardware store, the diner with the crooked sign, the barbershop where men still argued about football on Saturday mornings. He passed the church, its white steeple piercing the gray sky, a banner reading "Christmas Eve candlelight service, all are welcome." He stopped there for a second, staring. Once upon a time, he would have laughed at that sign. Now it felt like an invitation he hadn't earned. Inside, the church was open as it always was during December. He stepped in, boots echoing lightly against the wooden floor. The scent of old wood, pine garlands, and candle wax wrapped around him. Soft instrumental carols played in the background, filling the empty pews with warmth. Simon slid into the last row and dropped his head into his hands. "I messed it all up," he whispered, though no one was there to hear. At least, no one I could see. He hadn't grown up religious, but somewhere between losing people he loved, losing himself, and hitting the kind of rock bottom you don't post online, he started praying. Not pretty prayers, not rehearsed speeches, just broken sentences in cheap motel rooms and hospital waiting areas. "God, if you're there, do something with this mess." It wasn't theology, it was survival. Now, in that little Christmas-decorated church, he prayed again. "God, you know what I did to her. You know I don't deserve a second chance," he murmured. "I'm not asking you to make her forgive me. I'm asking you not to let me run away from telling the truth this time." His voice cracked. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "Help me face what I broke, even if the answer is no." Silence answered, but somehow it felt less empty. While he sat in that pew, Ashley stared at the folded paper he'd left on her counter. It sat there between orders, between candy canes and receipts, like a decision she hadn't agreed to make. Her assistant, Megan, glanced at it and raised an eyebrow. "So, that was the Simon, right?" she asked, lowering her voice. Ashley sighed. "Yep. Merry Christmas to me. You gonna open that?" Ashley hesitated, throat dry. "I don't know yet." The rest of the afternoon moved on in that strange tension only small towns can hold. People came in for hot cocoa, peppermint mochas, and gingerbread cookies, but they also came for updates. Is he really back? Where's he staying? Did he apologize? Ashley brushed them off with short answers, switching topics back to the winter charity drive. Because that event was what mattered now, not old wounds. At least that's what she kept telling herself. When the cafe finally slowed down, she picked up the folded paper with reluctant fingers. Her name was written on the outside in his handwriting. Still the same, but somehow shakier. She inhaled deeply as if oxygen might give her courage. Then she opened it. Inside, there was no long letter, no dramatic speech. Just a simple line with an address and a sentence. "I'll be helping with the winter charity drive if they still let me. If you ever want to talk, that's where I'll be." Her heart sank and stirred at the same time. The winter charity drive. The same event where he had humiliated her years before, turning her kindness into a cruel joke in front of the whole town. She could still hear the laughter, still feel the heat burning up her neck as tears blurred the Christmas lights. Part of her never left that night. "You really picked there, huh?" she muttered, folding the paper again. "Of course you did." As evening wrapped itself around the town, lights began to glow brighter against the dark. Ashley locked up the cafe, pulling her coat tighter as the temperature dropped. The big Christmas tree in the square was half decorated, volunteers laughing as they untangled lights and argued playfully over ornament placement. "Hey, Ashley, don't forget, you're on cookie duty tomorrow," someone called. She waved, managing a smile. Her life was here now, with these people, this work, this season. Still, as she walked home, just a few blocks to the small apartment above her shop, she couldn't shake the feeling that this Christmas would not be like the others. The air felt heavier, charged, like the sky before snow thickens. Simon's return had cracked something open she thought was sealed. Not just pain, possibility, and possibility she knew was the most dangerous part. Because Christmas wasn't only about lights and music, it was about things being reborn. Even stories she had sworn were over. Morning arrived wrapped in soft gold, the kind of winter sunrise that made the frost on every window glow like tiny diamonds. Ashley woke earlier than usual, her mind still replaying yesterday's encounter like a reel she couldn't stop. She tried to shake it off, telling herself she had no reason to let Simon Cole interrupt her peace again. She had rebuilt her life from ashes quietly, steadily, without applause or shortcuts. Her cafe was thriving, her heart mostly healed, her purpose renewed. Still, the air felt different today. Heavier, sharper, expectant. She got ready for the day with deliberate slowness, choosing a warm Christmas sweater patterned with little snowflakes. Her grandma used to call it her "bless your heart" sweater, because any time Ashley wore it, strangers softened around her. She braided her hair loosely, slipped into her brown winter boots, and grabbed the gingerbread cookie trays she'd promised for the tree lighting rehearsal. Routine steadied her. Predictability grounded her. Christmas traditions were her safe language. But even tradition couldn't quiet her heartbeat today. At the cafe, locals filtered in one by one, bundled in scarves and laughter. "Morning, Ashley. Got my usual? Did you hear the mayor said this might be the biggest winter festival yet?" Their cheerfulness warmed her, but beneath the pleasantries was curiosity. The unspoken question everyone danced around, because small towns didn't forget scandals. And Simon's return had awakened old conversations like dust rising in sunlight. But no one asked her directly. They respected her too much for that. Megan, her assistant, finally slid beside her while making a peppermint mocha. "So, how are you holding up?" she asked gently. Ashley hesitated. "I'm fine." Megan raised an eyebrow. "Bless your heart, but no, you're not." A reluctant smile tugged Ashley's lips. "I just wasn't prepared," she admitted softly. "That man walked in like a ghost from a story I stopped telling myself years ago." Megan leaned against the counter. "Ghosts don't come back without a reason." Ashley sighed. "Maybe, but I'm not looking for explanations or closure. I've done that work myself." "Still," Megan said, stirring the drink, "closure sometimes arrives wearing snow boots and guilt." Ashley gave her a look. "I'm serious," Megan insisted. "You don't have to forgive him, but you deserve answers." Ashley exhaled deeply, her breath trembling just a little. "I'm not sure I want them." By midday, the cafe was buzzing with the usual holiday rush. People from neighboring towns drove in just to try her seasonal drinks, especially the cinnamon hot chocolate that had become something of a local legend. Ashley moved with practiced ease, offering warm smiles and quick refills, keeping busy enough to drown out her thoughts. But between each order, she found herself glancing at the folded note tucked beneath the register. Simon's handwriting flashed in her mind. Winter Charity Drive. Of course it had to be that. The event had once been her favorite tradition. Families gathering to pack meals, wrap gifts, and donate coats to children in need. But everything changed the year Simon shattered her trust. The humiliation replayed in slow motion. A thoughtless comment made louder by a crowd's laughter. A betrayal she never saw coming. It happened under twinkling Christmas lights of all places. And since then, she had avoided the event's planning committee. She showed up only out of duty, not joy. Still, when the mayor entered the cafe carrying his usual to-go mug, he waved her over. "Ashley!" he boomed, cheeks rosy from the cold. "We're short on volunteers for the setup tonight. Think you can stop by?" Her stomach tightened. "Tonight?" she echoed. "Everyone's pitching in," he said. Even that coal boy, surprisingly enough. Ashley forced a polite smile. "Well, I'll see what I can do." Once the rush slowed, she finally allowed herself a moment to breathe. She leaned against the counter, sipping her own latte. Extra cinnamon, just how she liked it. Outside, snow drifted lazily past the windows, settling on the wreaths she hung last week. The world felt peaceful, but inside her chest, a storm brewed quietly. She hadn't seen Simon since yesterday, yet his presence still echoed like footsteps in her mind. She hated that. By late afternoon, she locked up early to deliver cookies to the festival volunteers. The town square glowed with lights strung from lamppost to lamppost, wrapping Main Street in warmth. Children chased one another around the half-decorated tree, their laughter bouncing like bells. Adults carried crates of ornaments, arguing playfully about the best placement. It was the kind of scene Norman Rockwell would have painted. The kind of scene that once filled her heart completely, before everything changed. She placed the cookie trays on a folding table near the cocoa stand. A couple of volunteers thanked her warmly, praising her baking skills. Just as she turned to leave, a familiar voice behind her said, "These look even better than I remember." Her spine stiffened instantly. She didn't have to turn around to know who it was. Simon. Again. Her pulse stumbled. Slowly, she faced him. He wore a thick charcoal coat dusted with snow, his breath visible in the cold air. His eyes, ashen, humbled, met hers like he was afraid of what he might find there. "I wasn't sure you'd actually come tonight," he said cautiously. "I didn't come for you," she replied, crossing her arms. "I came because the town needs volunteers." He nodded. "I know. And I'm grateful you're here anyway." She shook her head. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Act like we're familiar, like we're standing on the other side of something good." Simon swallowed hard. "We're not. I know we're not." "Good," she said bluntly. Her bluntness startled him, but he didn't retreat. He simply let the truth land where it needed to. For a moment, neither spoke. Children's laughter floated across the square. Carolers rehearsed near the gazebo, and the town bustled in that charming small-town way. The world looked beautiful, but between them it felt anything but. Ashley shifted uncomfortably. "So," she said, "are you planning to stay long?" His answer came quietly. "As long as it takes." She narrowed her eyes. "As long as it takes for what?" Simon exhaled, breath shaky. "To face what I broke." Her heart clenched before she could stop it. He continued softly, "And to make it right, if that's even possible." Ashley looked away, blinking hard. He didn't know it yet, but this sentence struck a place she thought had closed for good. One of the volunteers called her name, waving her over to help tie ribbons. She welcomed the interruption. "I need to work," she said, stepping back. Simon dipped his chin respectfully. "I'll stay out of your way." But something in his tone wasn't distance, it was reverence. Like he understood that approaching her required permission he hadn't earned yet. As she joined the ribbon-tying group, she couldn't help noticing Simon in her peripheral vision. He wasn't talking, wasn't trying to impress anyone like he used to. He simply grabbed boxes, lifted heavy decorations, and followed instructions quietly. No ego, no spotlight. Just effort, and strangely, sincerity. For the first time in years, Ashley felt the story shifting, just slightly, like the turning of a page you didn't mean to flip. She didn't trust him. She didn't want to. But something about the man helping under the Christmas lights was not the boy who hurt her. Snowflakes drifted between them, softening the edges of everything. And in that small, reluctant moment, Ashley realized this Christmas might demand courage she wasn't sure she had. Because redemption was no longer a distant concept, it was standing right across the square. By the next morning, rumors about Simon's return traveled faster than fresh snow on Main Street. Everywhere Ashley went, someone seemed ready to whisper an opinion wrapped in concern, curiosity, or plain old small-town gossip. It was part of the culture here. Everyone knew everybody, and news moved like wind through pine trees. But today, the air felt especially thick with speculation. At the bakery counter inside her cafe, she caught two regulars murmuring, "Did you see him last night? I swear he looks like a man carrying a whole year of winter on his shoulders." Ashley pretended not to hear, but every whispered syllable felt like a pebble tossed into the calm she spent years building. She placed mugs under the espresso machine, focusing on the hiss of steam instead of her churning thoughts. She refused to be dragged back into old narratives she outgrew. But the truth was unavoidable. Simon had always been a headline in this town. And now, with Christmas lights illuminating every corner, old stories glowed again too. Even the painful ones. When Megan arrived, cheeks flushed from the cold, she leaned in conspiratorially. "Okay, don't get mad, but the barbershop guys were talking about you and Simon this morning." Ashley groaned softly. "Of course they were. You want the summary?" Megan asked cautiously. "No." "Good, because I'm going to tell you anyway." Ashley closed her eyes in surrender. They said, and I quote, "The kid came back different." Ashley's eyebrows rose. "Different?" "Yep, quieter, humble, not the loud-mouthed show-off he used to be." Their words, not mine. Ashley fought the stirring inside her. She didn't want to care, but the image of him working silently under Christmas lights last night lingered, too quietly, too sincerely. Before she could respond, the cafe door chimed and in walked Mrs. Hallberg, the elderly woman who'd lived in town longer than the streetlights themselves. She stepped forward, cane tapping softly against the tiled floor. "Ashley, sweetheart," she said warmly. "I brought you those knitted ornaments I promised." Ashley smiled gratefully. "They're beautiful, thank you." The old woman's eyes twinkled. "And I hear you saw Simon yesterday." Ashley nearly dropped the ornament box. "Mrs. Hallberg, honey, this is a small town," the woman said, waving a gloved hand. "Secrets travel slower than trains, but not by much." Ashley sighed. "I don't need the whole town involved in this." "Oh, darling," the woman chuckled. "The town was involved the moment he humiliated you. Healing is communal here, so is redemption." Ashley blinked, not expecting that. After the morning rush, she took a brief break in the back office. The quiet space allowed thoughts she'd tried to outrun to finally catch up. Why did he humiliate her back then? Why now, after all these years, did he return? And why did her heart feel like a tightly wrapped Christmas present ready to burst open? She hated the questions, hated that they even existed, but Christmas had a way of stirring buried things. When she returned to the counter, a familiar figure was standing there. Simon. Again. He held a small box wrapped in simple brown paper with twine, like something from an old-fashioned general store. He didn't assume a smile. He didn't lean in with that old confidence. Instead, he looked like a man asking permission to breathe. "Hi," he said softly. Ashley froze, every muscle tight. "What is that?" she asked, nodding to the box. "An apology," he answered. "That's not how apologies work. I know. But it's a piece of something you should have had years ago." His voice shook slightly. "May I give it to you, or should I leave it here and go?" The cafe had grown quiet again, customers pretending not to stare but failing miserably. Ashley felt eyes watching, hearts waiting, judgments forming. She didn't want her pain, or her healing, to become a public spectacle again. "Not here," she said firmly. Simon nodded immediately. "I understand. I have a 15-minute break soon. You can talk to me outside by the tree." He swallowed, gratitude sweeping across his features. "Thank you." The moment he stepped outside, Megan rushed over. "You're meeting him? Alone? Outside? In this economy?" Ashley gave her a look. "I'm not meeting him for romance. I'm meeting him for truth." Megan crossed her arms. Well, truth comes wrapped in all sorts of Christmas packaging. Just be careful. Ashley nodded, her heart already tightening with nerves. Careful was the only thing she knew how to be. When her break finally came, she stepped outside, the cold hitting her like a gentle slap. Simon stood by the town's Christmas tree, now fully decorated with ribbons, gingerbread ornaments, and twinkling lights that glowed even in daylight. He looked smaller beneath it somehow. Or maybe more human. Here, he said quietly, offering the box. I don't want anything from you. This is yours, and I'm sorry it's so late. Ashley hesitated, then reluctantly accepted it. She opened the box carefully. Inside lay a delicate silver snowflake necklace, the one she had found months before the humiliation. The one she had admired in the shop window. The one he promised he'd get for her, right before everything fell apart. Her breath caught. You kept this? She whispered. His answer came rough, almost broken. I bought it the day after hurting you. I couldn't give it to you then. I didn't deserve to. Her throat tightened painfully. Simon, why did you do it? He closed his eyes for a moment, gathering courage. I was stupid, proud, insecure. People I wanted approval from were watching. I betrayed the only person who actually cared about me because I wanted to look strong. He opened his eyes again, raw and unguarded. But the truth is, I've never felt weaker than the moment I saw your face after I hurt you. Ashley's breath trembled. She wasn't expecting honesty this sharp, this unfiltered. Pain mixed with understanding, confusion with clarity. He continued, voice low. I left town because I couldn't stand the man I was. I've spent years trying to become someone who would never do something like that again. His gaze steadied on hers. And coming back here, facing you, is the hardest thing I've ever done. The air between them turned fragile. Snowflakes fell slowly, landing on his hair, on the box, on her gloved hands. Kids laughing nearby sounded far away. It felt like the world had narrowed to the two of them and the truth hanging between them. Heavy, painful, real. Ashley looked away, overwhelmed. Her heart wasn't ready to forgive, but it wasn't as closed as she thought either. Simon, she said softly, I don't know what you expect from this. I expect nothing, he answered quickly. No second chance, no clean slate. I just want you to have the truth, and your necklace. She studied him carefully, searching for the arrogance she once knew. There was none, only humility, and a quiet kind of sorrow that felt like repentance. Ashley closed the box slowly. Thank you, she said finally, though she wasn't sure if she meant for the necklace, the honesty, or the courage. Simon nodded, stepping back to give her space. I'll be at the charity drive later, if you need anything. Or nothing at all. Either way, I'll help. As she watched him walk away, the snow thickened around him, softening his outline. And Ashley realized something terrifying and holy all at once. This Christmas, God wasn't just decorating her world. He was rearranging it. That afternoon, the sky shifted into a deeper gray, signaling another snowfall on the way. Ashley stood inside the cafe's storage room, organizing boxes of candy canes and ribbons for the upcoming winter charity drive. But organization didn't tame her mind. If anything, it made the thoughts sharper. Simon's confession replayed over and over, each sentence echoing like a dropped ornament that refused to stop rolling. The necklace weighed heavily in her pocket, cold against her palm whenever she touched it. It felt like holding a memory, or a wound. She had always believed truth came clean and neat, like a clear window after rain. But this truth was messy. It came wrapped in years of regret, shaped by pain she carried and pain he lived with. It didn't give closure. It asked for courage, and Ashley wasn't sure she had enough of it. Not yet. When the after-school rush began, she pushed everything down and returned to work. The cafe buzzed with teens grabbing hot chocolate, teachers picking up to-go lattes, and parents wrapping up last-minute gifts. Every corner twinkled with Christmas charm, but Ashley felt slightly out of sync, like she was watching her life from outside a frosted window. Even Megan noticed. You're quiet today, she commented softly. Ashley sighed. Just tired. But the truth was, she wasn't tired. She was torn. Part of her wanted to slam the door shut on any conversation involving Simon. Another part whispered that maybe, just maybe, understanding could bring a peace she never allowed herself before. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just clarity. But clarity was sometimes the scariest gift Christmas offered. Hours later, with the sun dipping behind snow-covered rooftops, she finally closed the cafe to join the charity drive set up again. This time, she walked slower, more hesitant, her breath forming little clouds in the cold. The town square glowed brighter than the night before. Red bows, golden ornaments, and fresh wreaths covered every surface. Children passed out candy canes while carolers practiced under the gazebo. It was beautiful, like stepping into a Christmas card, but her heart wasn't calm. She spotted Simon near the donation tent helping unload boxes. He lifted heavy crates without complaint, working easily beside the mayor and 2 teenage volunteers. He wasn't trying to be seen. He wasn't trying to make a statement. He was simply present, fully, quietly, humbly. Ashley felt something shift again. Not forgiveness, but recognition. Before she could turn away, the mayor waved her over. "Ashley, we need help tying the ornament tags. Mind joining Simon's group?" Her stomach flipped, of course. Small towns and fate worked together like mischievous elves. "Sure," she said, forcing a smile. Simon looked up as she approached, the surprise in his eyes immediately softened by gratitude. "Hi," he murmured. She didn't respond, but she didn't walk away either. They worked side by side, threading ribbons through tags labeled hope, warmth, joy, grace. The irony wasn't lost on her. Each tag felt like a tiny sermon aimed directly at her chest. Simon tied his quietly, methodically, pausing now and then to glance at her without expectation. There was no desperation in his eyes, only sincerity. And sincerity, she realized, was harder to ignore than guilt. Much harder. After several minutes of silence, Simon finally spoke. "Thank you for giving me even a few minutes today." Ashley didn't look at him. "I didn't do it for you." "I know," he replied gently, "but it still means more than you think." His voice was steady, but something fragile lived beneath the steadiness. "You said you wanted the truth," she muttered. "I do," he said. "And I want to give it. All of it." She stopped tying a ribbon, her fingers freezing mid-loop. "All of it?" Simon nodded slowly. "There were things happening back then you didn't know about. Things I didn't let anyone know." Her pulse raced. "Like what?" His jaw tightened, and he looked down at his gloves. "I wasn't just insecure, I was ashamed. Of my family, of myself, of who people said I'd become." He continued, voice barely above the winter breeze. "My dad had just left. My mom was drowning in debt. And everyone in school thought I was some golden boy with everything handed to me." Ashley blinked, stunned. She had never known this. "I didn't want anyone to know how broken things were at home," he said. "So I hid behind arrogance, behind people who kept pushing me to look strong." He swallowed hard. "And when they mocked you, I joined them, because I was too weak to stand alone." The confession hit her like a gust of icy wind. She'd always imagined his cruelty as intentional, targeted, heartless. But hearing this, hearing the truth behind the truth, twisted something inside her. Pain mingled with unexpected understanding, not justification, not apology, but a different kind of honesty, one she hadn't known she needed. "I hated myself the moment it happened," he said, voice cracking. "And when I saw you cry, something in me broke too. But instead of fixing it, I ran." Ashley felt tears prick her eyes before she could stop them. She looked away, blinking fast. "You didn't just hurt me, Simon. You humiliated me." "I know," he whispered. "That moment has haunted every Christmas since." She turned back to him, searching his face for contradictions, for remnants of the boy she remembered. But all she saw was a man. A tired, humbled, remorseful man who had been carrying this weight far longer than she guessed. "What made you come back?" she asked softly. He exhaled, breath trembling. "My mother passed last year." Ashley's expression softened instinctively. "She left me a letter," he continued, eyes glistening. "A letter full of things she wished she had said. And one of them was this: 'Fix what you broke, son. especially where there was love. Ashley's breath caught. Love, a word she had buried deep, deep under years of silence. Simon continued, I knew she meant you. She always liked you. Said you were light. A tear slipped down his cheek, unnoticed by him. Ashley looked at the ground, overwhelmed by the magnitude of everything he'd just shared. The wind blew softly, rustling pine branches overhead, carrying the scent of cinnamon from the cocoa stand. Around them, the town kept laughing, decorating, singing, completely unaware of the holy gravity settling between the two of them. She finally whispered, I don't know what to do with all of this. You don't have to do anything. He replied gently. Just see me, for who I am now, not who I was. His words trembled in the air. For the first time, Ashley allowed herself to fully look at him, not through the lens of old pain, not through fear, but through truth. And what she saw wasn't the arrogant boy who destroyed her confidence in front of a crowd. It was a man carved by loss, softened by humility, rebuilt in silence. And that realization shook her more than the original wound. I need time, she said finally, voice steady but fragile. You can have it, Simon replied instantly. I'm not going anywhere. Snow began to fall again, slow, soft, glimmering like heaven's version of forgiveness. Children cheered as flakes landed on their coats. Lights twinkled brighter. And Ashley realized that Christmas wasn't just revealing truth. It was preparing her heart for something she never thought she'd face again. Possibility. The next day, the winter charity drive was in full swing by early afternoon. Main Street buzzed with volunteers carrying boxes, children decorating gingerbread houses, and carolers warming their voices for the evening performance. Ashley arrived with a tray of cinnamon cookies, determined to keep her distance and focus on helping. But as soon as she reached the square, she spotted Simon carrying an oversized crate on his shoulder. He moved carefully, as if making sure not to burden anyone else. His posture wasn't proud, it was steady, grounded, and unavoidably different. Ashley tried to look away, but her gaze kept drifting back to him. He wasn't trying to be noticed. If anything, he was trying not to be. He worked quietly, lifting heavy donations, clearing snow from walkways, helping elderly volunteers without being asked. He didn't laugh loudly the way he once did, trying to charm a crowd. He didn't seek approval or recognition. He just worked. And somehow that silence carried more weight than any speech. A sudden shout burst through the air. Watch out! Ashley turned just in time to see a tall stack of gift boxes tipping dangerously toward a group of children. Everything froze. Her heart, her breath, her feet. But Simon moved before anyone else could. He sprinted forward, catching the entire collapsing tower just before it crushed the small kids standing near it. Gasps rippled across the square. Someone started clapping. Simon steadied the boxes, breathing hard but composed. You kids okay? He asked gently. They nodded, wide-eyed, clinging to their candy canes. One little girl whispered, Thank you, mister. Simon smiled softly. A real smile, not the confident smirk of years past. No problem, sweetheart. Be careful near the big stacks, okay? The mayor hurried over, praising him loudly. But Simon just shook his head, stepping aside. Ashley felt the air leave her chest as she watched from a distance. The moment shouldn't have mattered. But it did. Not because he saved the kids, but because he didn't turn around to see if she'd noticed. He wasn't performing. He was simply doing what was right. And it shook her in a way she wasn't prepared for. She approached slowly, unsure what she was planning to say. Before she reached him, Mrs. Hallberg grabbed her arm. Did you see that? The elderly woman asked, breathless with excitement. He reacted faster than the young fellas. Ashley forced a smile. Yes, I saw. People can change, dear, the older woman whispered. But it takes humility, and sometimes heartbreak. And often, Christmas. Ashley blinked, surprised by how deeply the words pierced. By late afternoon, snow began falling again, dusting every surface in glimmering white. The town square looked like a scene from an old holiday movie. Twinkling lights, rosy cheeks, warm breath misting the air. Ashley joined the volunteers tying bows around coat donations for children in need. Simon worked at the opposite end of the square, intentionally giving her space. But she could feel him there, like the gentle warmth from a nearby fire you're not yet ready to sit beside. It was strange, unsettling, human. Eventually, the mayor approached Ashley with a clipboard. "Could you help organize the toy table? We're short-handed." "Sure," she said, taking the list. As she moved toward the toy tent, she noticed Simon already inside, sorting board games, stuffed animals, and puzzles into neat piles. He glanced up when she entered. Briefly, carefully. "No pressure," he said softly. "I can leave if you want the space." She hesitated. "You can stay." They worked in silence for a few minutes, the only sounds the crunch of snow outside and the rustle of wrapping paper. Ashley focused on arranging toys by age group, but her thoughts kept circling back to his earlier confession, his mother's letter, the necklace, the children he saved. Truth wasn't one moment, it was a collection of them, and he was offering them piece by piece. Finally, she broke the silence. "You didn't have to catch those boxes, you know." He looked at her, startled. "I know, but I couldn't not." She studied him. His sincerity wasn't dramatic. It wasn't polished. It simply existed, steady as a heartbeat. "People noticed," she said. He shrugged lightly. "That's not why I did it." "For once," she added before she could stop herself. He let out a small breath. "Yeah, for once." A volunteer entered the tent for tape, interrupting the tension. When she left again, Ashley exhaled slowly. "Simon, can I ask you something?" His posture straightened. "Anything. Why didn't you ever tell me what was happening in your life back then?" He paused, expression shadowing with regret. "Because I was ashamed. And because you saw me too clearly." She frowned. "Isn't that a good thing?" He shook his head. "Not for someone who's trying to pretend they're untouchable." He ran a hand through his hair, snowflakes melting instantly. "You saw the parts of me I didn't want to admit existed. Fear, insecurity, desperation. I didn't know how to handle someone who saw my truth before I did." Ashley's throat tightened. It was the most honest thing he'd ever said. "So you pushed me away," she whispered. "I destroyed you." He corrected softly. "No, you embarrassed me," she countered. He lowered his eyes. "I did worse than that. I made you doubt yourself." Ashley felt tears burn behind her eyelids. He was right. That humiliation had burrowed deeper than she ever allowed herself to admit. "Simon," she said, voice trembling, "you hurt me more than anyone ever has." He didn't wince. He absorbed it. "I know," he breathed. "And I wish I could go back to that night and stand beside you instead of against you." His voice cracked. "I would give anything to change what I did." The rawness in his words made Ashley turn away, overwhelmed. His pain wasn't a performance. It was lived in, old, and real. They continued sorting toys until dusk deepened into night. The town square lit up spectacularly, every bulb reflecting off the snow like tiny stars. Families gathered for the tree lighting rehearsal. Children practiced lines for the nativity play. Teens laughed over steaming cups of cocoa. It should have been the perfect evening, but Ashley's emotions churned like wind spiraling through pine branches. Finally, she drew in a breath. "Simon, I don't know what to do with everything you're telling me." He set down the toy in his hand and looked at her gently. "You don't have to do anything," he repeated softly. "Not today, not tomorrow, not ever if you don't want to. But I'm not here for a second chance." She frowned. "Then why are you here?" Simon's eyes softened, vulnerability flickering like candlelight. "To give you back the dignity I took. To tell the truth. To stop running." He swallowed hard. "And because I don't want your pain to define my memory of you. Not after everything you once meant to me." Ashley's breath caught. "Everything you once meant to me." The words hung in the air like mist rising from warm cocoa, soft but undeniable. Her chest tightened, not with anger this time, but with something dangerously close to longing. She stepped back, needing space. "I need to go help with the lights," she whispered. He nodded immediately. "I'll be around if you need anything." As she walked out of the tent, snowflakes kissed her cheeks, melting into warmth that didn't belong to the weather. She watched families hold hands under the glow of Christmas lights, watched volunteers laugh as they untangled cords, watched children dance around the giant tree. Her world was still beautiful. Her heart was still hers. But something inside her had undeniably shifted. Simon's actions spoke louder than his words, and louder than the memory of the boy he once was. For the first time, Ashley wondered what the man he'd become might mean. That night, Ashley returned to her apartment above the cafe long after the last volunteer left the square. The quiet felt different, heavier, like the air itself was waiting for her to make sense of everything swirling inside her. She slipped off her boots and coat, feeling exhaustion sink deep into her bones. But it wasn't physical exhaustion. It was emotional, the kind that presses on the heart more than the body. She moved to the window, watching snow fall gently across Main Street. The world outside was peaceful. She was not. Her eyes drifted to the small jewelry box sitting on her kitchen counter. The silver snowflake necklace gleamed faintly, catching the glow of her Christmas tree lights. She hadn't taken it out since Simon returned it to her. She wasn't ready, but she also couldn't put it away. It was the perfect metaphor for everything happening inside her. Not healed, not untouched, just waiting. She poured herself a cup of hot tea, hoping warmth might soften the knot in her chest. As she sat at her small wooden table, the words Simon had spoken looped in her mind. Fix what you broke. Especially where there was love. She pressed her hand over her heart. She didn't want to admit that love had once lived there, deeply. She didn't want to admit the wound had shaped her more than she liked. But truth didn't ask permission. It simply existed. The next morning, Ashley returned to the cafe early, even before dawn painted the sky pale pink. She needed routine, structure, anything to anchor herself. She prepped the cinnamon batter, filled the pastry case, and turned on the string lights along the shelves. The familiar rituals brought comfort, a sense of control. Yet beneath that rhythm lay a steady hum of conflicting emotions. Healing wasn't linear, and Christmas had a way of accelerating what she wasn't ready to face. When Megan arrived, yawning and complaining about the cold, she took one look at Ashley and froze. "You didn't sleep," she said bluntly. "Neither did half the country," Ashley deflected. "Nice try," Megan replied. "Look, no one expects you to forgive him. You don't owe him anything." Ashley bit her lip. "I know that. But," Megan pressed gently. Ashley sighed, resting both palms on the counter. "But I don't know what to do with truth that feels both painful and honest." Megan nodded slowly. "Truth is like snow," she said. "It falls soft, but it still changes the whole landscape." Ashley managed a faint smile. "You're getting poetic." "It's Christmas," Megan shrugged. "It happens." Ashley laughed softly, though her heart remained tangled. Later that afternoon, the mayor stopped by again. "Big rehearsal tonight," he announced. "We'll need all hands." Ashley nodded, already expecting to see Simon there. The thought made her pulse quicken, not in the old familiar way, but in a complicated new one. A way that frightened her. A way that felt like possibility blooming in cold soil. She wasn't sure she wanted that, or if she could stop it. When evening arrived, Ashley bundled up and walked to the square with a tray of fresh ginger cookies. She tried to focus on the children practicing carols, the soft glow of lanterns, the smell of pine branches and cocoa. But as soon as she spotted Simon near the gazebo, her heart stumbled. He was setting up heaters for the older volunteers, adjusting them carefully so no one would get chilled. Such a small act. Such a gentle one. It disarmed her. She approached slowly. Before she said a word, Simon looked up and offered a quiet smile. Not confident, not expectant, just human. "Hey," he said softly. "Hi," she replied, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. They stood there awkwardly for a heartbeat, the kind of moment that could tip either direction. Ashley finally handed him a cookie. "For your hard work," she said. He blinked, surprised, then grateful. As the rehearsal progressed, Ashley moved around the square, organizing decorations and checking on volunteers. but every so often her gaze drifted toward Simon. Not intentionally, just instinctively, like her eyes were unlearning an old habit of avoidance. She caught him helping a little boy tie his scarf, laughing quietly with an elderly couple handing out hot cocoa to cold hands. These actions stirred something unexpected. Not forgiveness, but warmth. Later, when the group took a break, Ashley walked toward the nativity scene setup. That's where she found Simon adjusting one of the wooden animals that kept tipping over. "You're doing a lot," she said from behind him. He turned, slightly startled. "Just trying to help." "You don't have to," she said softly. "I know," he replied, holding her gaze. "But I want to." She hesitated, then asked the question that had been burning through her for days. "Simon, what did you expect would happen when you came back?" He looked down, exhaling slowly. "Honestly, I expected you to hate me, maybe even yell at me, throw cocoa in my face." She fought a smile. "I still might." He laughed quietly, but the humor didn't hide the vulnerability underneath. "I didn't come for a reaction," he continued. "I came because guilt isn't healing. Truth is." Ashley felt something in her chest loosen, just slightly. "I see that you've changed," she admitted carefully. But then she added, "Change doesn't erase what happened." His expression softened. "I know. I'm not trying to erase it. I'm trying to honor it." She swallowed hard. Honor was a word she hadn't expected from him, a word that meant more than any apology. "I don't know if I can ever forgive you," she whispered. Simon's eyes glistened. "You don't have to." She blinked, surprised. He continued, voice steady. "Forgiveness is a gift, not a debt. If you never give it, I'll still be grateful I got to tell the truth." His humility wrapped around her like a winter blanket, unexpectedly warm, impossibly gentle, and terrifying. A strong wind blew through the square, scattering ribbons and lifting flakes of snow. Ashley rubbed her hands together for warmth. Simon immediately shrugged out of his scarf and offered it to her. "No," she said. "Yes," he insisted softly. "It's Christmas. Let me be kind." The simplicity of his gesture struck deeper than his confessions. She took the scarf reluctantly, gratefully. "Want to walk with me for a minute?" Ashley asked suddenly, surprising even herself. Simon nodded, stunned into silence. They walked along the edge of the square, passing glowing storefronts and snow-covered benches. The world felt softer away from the crowd, quieter, safer. Finally, Ashley spoke. "I don't trust you," she admitted. "I know," he said gently. "But," she continued, searching for the right words, "I don't feel the same anger I used to." Simon inhaled sharply, as if those words alone were their own miracle. "Ashley, that means more than you know." "It doesn't mean forgiveness," she cautioned. "It doesn't have to," he replied. "What matters is that your heart doesn't hurt the way it once did." She stopped walking, breath trembling. That was true. Snow began falling heavier, blanketing the town in soft white silence. Ashley looked up at the sky, letting flakes land on her lashes like tiny blessings. Then she looked at Simon, really looked. For the first time, she saw not the boy who humiliated her, but the man trying to rebuild the pieces he once shattered. "I need time," she whispered. "You have all the time you need," he answered. And as the church bells rang in the distance, Ashley felt something long frozen inside her begin to thaw. Christmas had made room for healing, and her heart had finally stepped into that space. The next evening, the town gathered again, this time for the full rehearsal of the Christmas Eve program. The square glowed brighter than ever, every shop window flickering with warm light, every pine branch dusted with snow. Ashley arrived bundled in her coat and Simon's scarf, though she'd never admit she chose it for its warmth and its familiarity. As she walked toward the gazebo, she felt the shift in the air, quiet anticipation mixed with something tender, something unnamed, something she wasn't ready to claim. Not yet. Volunteers hurried around her, stringing the last lights, touching up wooden decorations, rehearsing last-minute lines. Ashley blended into the crowd, helping wherever she could, avoiding the places where her heart felt too visible. But Simon noticed her the moment she stepped into the square. His gaze found her as if drawn by instinct, not intention. He didn't approach immediately. He never pushed. He just watched her softly, with respect and something gentler beneath it. Something that warmed the cold air. When Ashley finally caught his eyes across the space, neither of them looked away. For a long breath, the world around them blurred. The lights, the chatter, the flurries of snow drifting down. Her chest tightened, not in pain, but in confusion. Because this wasn't the gaze of a boy who once mocked her. It was the gaze of a man who carried regret like scripture and redemption like prayer. It startled her. It softened her. It scared her. She broke the stare first, pretending to adjust a ribbon on one of the donation tables. But moments later, Simon walked over, not too close, not too confident, never assuming. "Can I help?" he asked quietly. She nodded, letting him tie a ribbon beside hers. Their gloves brushed for a split second, a small touch that pulsed louder than any carol. Ashley swallowed hard. Even small contact felt like memory waking up. "You're good at this," she murmured, surprising herself with the softness in her tone. He glanced at her, almost shyly. "I like doing work that matters." She nodded, staring at the table instead of him. The silence between them wasn't tense, it was full. Full of everything unsaid, everything unraveling, everything healing. Finally, Ashley whispered, "You weren't like this before." Simon exhaled. "No. You deserved a man like this, not the boy I was." Before she could respond, the wind picked up, scattering snow in swirling patterns around them. Children squealed with laughter, spinning under the flurries like they were catching stars. Something about the scene tugged at Ashley's heart, softening edges she didn't know were still sharp. Suddenly, it felt impossible to hold on to old pain while standing in a moment so drenched in hope. Christmas had a way of making forgiveness possible. Not easy, but possible. As Ashley moved to gather fallen ribbons, she slipped slightly on the icy ground. Before she could fall, Simon's hands reached her waist, steady, protective, instinctive. She froze, breath caught somewhere between fear and remembrance. He froze too, hands gentle but firm, as if afraid to hold her too tightly. "You okay?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. She nodded, though her heart stumbled wildly. He let go slowly, reverently. The touch lingered long after his hands withdrew. Not because it was romantic, but because it was respectful, careful. Nothing like the careless boy he once was. Ashley exhaled shakily, staring at the snow settling in Simon's hair. It was impossible not to notice how much he had changed, and even more impossible to pretend she hadn't changed too. A soft hymn drifted from the carolers warming up near the steps of the gazebo. "O holy night, the stars are brightly shining." Ashley felt the melody wrap around her like a blanket woven from memory and hope. Simon listened too, eyes lowering with something sacred in his expression. "This song always gets me," he murmured. She blinked in surprise. "You were never the sentimental type." "I wasn't," he replied. "I learned to be." They walked along the perimeter of the square, close enough to share warmth, distant enough to keep boundaries intact. Snow flickered beneath the street lamps like falling glitter. Ashley tucked her hands into her pockets, not trusting herself to speak yet. But silence between them felt strangely natural now. Not avoidance, not fear, just presence. "Can I tell you something?" Simon asked suddenly. Ashley hesitated but nodded. He drew in a breath. "I still remember the look on your face the night I humiliated you." She stiffened, but he continued gently. "It wasn't anger. It wasn't disappointment. It was heartbreak. And I swear, Ashley, I've carried that image through every year since." His voice trembled with truth. "I never forgave myself." Ashley closed her eyes. The memory surged, sharp, painful, unresolved. But this time it didn't consume her. It simply existed, softened by years and shaped by the man standing in front of her. When she opened her eyes, Simon looked at her as if bracing for rejection. "Simon," she said softly, "I'm not the girl who cried that night anymore." He nodded. "And I'm not the boy who made you." A long silence followed, deeper than snow, warmer than lantern light. Ashley felt something fragile shifting between them. A thread being rewoven, not replaced. A story being rewritten, not erased. When she finally spoke, her voice was faint but steady. "I don't hate you anymore." Simon inhaled sharply, emotion flickering across his features. "Thank you," he whispered. "You don't know what that means. But," she continued, holding his gaze, "I still don't know what to do with you." His lips curved, not into a smile but something sadder and more beautiful. "You don't have to know," he murmured. "I'm not here to win anything. I'm here to be honest, and to be better. Not for you, because of you." The confession melted something frozen inside her. Maybe for the first time she believed him, really believed him. A group of volunteers called her name from across the square. Ashley waved back but didn't move yet. Simon stepped back slightly, giving her space. "You should go," he said softly. She nodded, but as she turned to leave, he called her name again. "Ashley?" She looked over her shoulder. Heart paused. "Yeah?" He stepped forward, one slow breath. "If all I ever get from you is honesty, not forgiveness, I'll still be grateful I got this close to making things right." Her breath hitched. The vulnerability in his voice felt like a prayer whispered into winter air. She didn't answer right away. Her heart wasn't ready. But something deeper was listening. They stood under the falling snow, the world glowing in soft gold and blue. The lights reflected in Simon's eyes, revealing an ache so raw it nearly pulled her forward. She tightened her coat around herself, trying to steady her shaking breath. "Simon," she whispered. "I don't know what comes next." He nodded. "It's okay. I'll walk it at your pace, not mine." As the rehearsal wrapped up and volunteers began heading home, the square grew quieter. Ashley walked away slowly, but she could feel Simon's presence behind her, not heavy like the past, but gentle like possibility. Snow clung to her scarf, to her hair, to her lashes, and in that cold December night, something warm flickered inside her chest. Not forgiveness, not love, but the beginning of something sacred. Something Christmas itself seemed to breathe into existence. Christmas Eve arrived wrapped in a quiet, reverent glow, the kind of morning where even the snow seemed to fall slower, softer, like heaven was paying attention. Ashley woke early, her heart heavy but not hurting, restless but not afraid. Something inside her felt suspended, as if her life were holding its breath. She dressed carefully, choosing a deep red sweater and a long coat that swayed when she walked. She wasn't dressing for him. She repeated that to herself. But she was dressing for a moment she couldn't yet name. Christmas Eve always demanded honesty, even the kind we hide from ourselves. At the cafe, customers lined up out the door. Everyone was buzzing about the evening's festivities, the lantern walk, the carols, the charity reveal, the final lighting of the town tree. Ashley tried to keep her focus on lattes and pastries, but beneath every task lay a persistent awareness. This Christmas Eve was different. Simon hadn't shown up yet, but she felt him in the edges of her thoughts, like a presence her heart had grown accustomed to resisting. By noon, the mayor stopped by to collect donations. "Ashley, tonight's going to be meaningful," he said with a wink. She wasn't sure whether to feel anticipation or dread. When the afternoon sun dipped behind winter clouds, the town transformed. Lanterns lit the streets in warm golden halos. Children bundled in scarves practiced carols under the gazebo. Families arrived carrying gifts and homemade treats. And in the center of the square, the enormous Christmas tree stood waiting, wrapped in lights that hadn't been turned on yet. Ashley arrived with gingerbread bags for the volunteers, her breath misting in the cold. The moment she stepped into the square, she saw him. Simon stood near the donation tent, handing out scarves to kids whose coats were too thin. He wore a simple jacket, his hair lightly dusted with snow, his posture humble. He wasn't looking for her. He wasn't searching the crowd. He was simply doing good. And somehow, that undid her more than any direct attention ever could. She forced herself to inhale slowly, to walk forward without hesitation. "Evening," she said gently. He turned, and when he saw her, Something unguarded flickered across his face. Not surprise, not hope, just quiet gratitude, like her presence alone was a gift he didn't expect to receive. "Evening," he replied softly. "You look—" He stopped himself, shaking his head, choosing respect over charm. "You look like Christmas," he finished simply. Ashley's breath caught, not because of the words but because he meant them. The mayor soon gathered everyone in the center of the square. "Tonight," he announced, "is our final night of giving, and this year we've broken every record." Cheers erupted. Kids jumped up and down. Ashley smiled, feeling pride swell in her chest. But then the mayor continued, "And there's one volunteer who deserves special recognition." Her stomach dropped. Everyone turned toward her, until the mayor pointed not at Ashley, but at Simon. Simon froze. Ashley froze harder. The crowd murmured in surprise, curiosity, confusion. The mayor stepped forward, hand on Simon's shoulder. This man came back to town with humility, hard work, and heart. No spotlight, no expectations, just sincerity. Simon shook his head. "No, I didn't do this for recognition. We know," the mayor said gently. "That's why you deserve it." Ashley felt goosebumps race up her arms. She wasn't used to seeing him honored for anything, least of all kindness. Simon looked around, lost, uncomfortable with the attention he never wanted. But then the mayor added something no one expected, and he asked to say a few words, not for himself but for someone he wronged. Ashley's heart slammed against her ribs. Her breath vanished. He couldn't, not here. But he stepped forward anyway. Not proud, not rehearsed, not dramatic, just real. He took the microphone, his hands trembling slightly, and scanned the crowd until his eyes found Ashley. Then he began. "I came back because I broke something years ago," he said, voice steady despite the shaking, "and it was never mine to break." The square fell into complete silence. Even the children stopped squirming. Simon continued, "There's someone here who showed me more kindness than I deserved, and I repaid it with humiliation." Ashley stared at him, unable to look away. "And while I can't undo what happened," he said softly, "I can refuse to hide from it. I can honor the truth." He drew a breath. "I'm sorry, Ashley. Not privately, not secretly, publicly." Because the wound was public. The crowd shifted, murmuring with recognition, with memory, with understanding. Ashley felt tears fill her eyes despite every effort to hold them back. Snowflakes drifted between her and Simon like tiny white lanterns. He continued, "This isn't a plea for forgiveness. It's a confession. One I should have made years ago." He lowered his gaze, humbled. "You didn't deserve what I did to you, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure I never hurt anyone like that again, and that I never diminish the strength you showed by standing up again." Warmth spread across Ashley's chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with temperature. This wasn't manipulation. This wasn't charm. This wasn't performance. It was truth, raw, sacrificial, costly. Truth that dared to be seen. Truth that freed the one who spoke it and the one who heard it. Simon ended simply, "Thank you for listening. And Ashley, thank you for becoming stronger than the moment I broke." Then he stepped back, handing off the microphone as applause rippled slowly, softly, sincerely through the square. Ashley's breath trembled. She felt something release inside her, a knot, a weight, a grief she didn't know still lived there. She wasn't healed, but she was lighter. After the applause faded, the mayor motioned toward Ashley. "Would you like to say something?" Her heart pounded, her legs trembled. But she stepped forward anyway, guided by something holy. She took the microphone, meeting Simon's eyes across the small distance. And the world went still, completely still. "I'm not the girl I was then," she began softly. She cried for weeks, but she also learned to stand tall. A murmur rippled through the crowd, gentle and supportive. "Christmas taught me that broken things don't stay broken forever," she continued. "That light reaches even the dark corners we don't talk about." Her gaze locked onto Simon's. "And your apology, it matters. more than I expected. A visible breath escaped his lips as if her words untied a rope inside him. I don't know what forgiveness looks like yet, she added. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. But I do know this. Her voice softened into something tender, trembling, honest. Tonight, I'm choosing to let go of the part of the past that still hurts. The crowd exhaled like a single heartbeat. She stepped down from the stage, and the snow thickened, swirling around the two of them in a quiet halo. Simon approached slowly, cautiously, reverently. Thank you, he whispered. Ashley nodded, tears shining in her lashes. You didn't have to do that, she murmured. I did, he replied, because you deserved better than silence. The mayor flipped the switch and the entire Christmas tree burst into brilliant light, gold, green, red shimmering across fresh snow. Children cheered, families clapped, music swelled through the speakers. And there, in the glow of 1,000 twinkling lights, Ashley and Simon stood inches apart, not healed, not finished, but standing inside the miracle of a story beginning again, exactly when she least expected it. The Christmas tree lights glowed like 1,000 tiny prayers suspended in the winter air, shimmering over the snow-dusted square. Ashley stood beneath them, her breath trembling as her heart processed everything that had unfolded. Simon's apology still echoed in her chest, raw, public, sacrificial. It didn't erase the past, but it changed the present in a way she never imagined possible. The crowd slowly dispersed, families hugging, children skipping through the snow, carols drifting softly behind them. But Ashley stayed, unable to move just yet. Some moments asked to be felt, not rushed. Simon approached with slow, careful steps, each one echoing humility. He didn't assume closeness. He waited for permission in her eyes. Ashley, I meant every word, he said quietly, voice strained by emotion he wasn't hiding anymore. I know, she whispered. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of the truth, hers or his. A soft breeze carried the scent of pine and cinnamon between them. It felt like Christmas itself breathed on their wounds. I don't know where we go from here, she said honestly. His expression softened. We don't have to know. Healing isn't a map. It's a step. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. And you took a big one tonight. He shook his head gently. You did too. Ashley let out a slow exhale, letting honesty melt the tension inside her. For the first time, the future didn't feel frightening. It felt open. The mayor called goodnight from across the square, leaving only a few lanterns flickering around them. Snow continued falling, quiet, reverent, slow, as if heaven wanted to prolong the moment. Ashley glanced at the ground, watching flakes settle on her boots. Do you regret coming back? She asked softly. Simon stepped closer, not enough to touch, but enough to feel his warmth in the cold. Not for a single second, he said. Coming back was the first thing I've done right in years. Her throat tightened at the sincerity in his voice. Simon, you hurt me deeply. I know. But you also gave me something tonight I didn't realize I needed. His brows lifted gently. What? She lifted her eyes to his. Closure. Without bitterness. And space, he murmured. For something new, if you ever want it. Ashley looked toward the nativity scene, where lanterns cast warm shadows across Mary and Joseph carved out of wood. Christmas always told stories of beginnings wrapped in unlikely circumstances. Maybe this was one of those stories. Not about forgetting pain, but about transforming it. Not about rewriting the past, but about reclaiming the future. She turned back to Simon, her breath forming soft clouds between them. I'm not promising anything, she whispered. I'm not asking for anything, he replied. And that, she said quietly, is why tonight mattered. He lowered his gaze, humbled again. Ashley reached into her pocket, pulling out the silver snowflake necklace he had returned. I thought I'd never want to look at this again, she admitted. But tonight, it feels different. Simon swallowed hard, emotion flickering through him. You always deserved beauty, he whispered. Her hands trembled slightly as she clipped the necklace around her own neck. Not as a symbol of the past, but of the present. Of truth spoken aloud. Of wounds acknowledged. Of dignity restored. Simon couldn't look away. The sight undid him. Ashley. His voice barely held. She lifted her chin, meeting his gaze with new steadiness. "I'm choosing to move forward," she said. "Not backward, not frozen. Forward." A soft smile curved at his lips, one filled not with hope, but with gratitude. "You have no idea what that means to me." "I'm not doing it for you," she said gently. "I'm doing it for me." He nodded. "That's exactly why it matters." Their breath mingled in the cold air, forming a delicate cloud between them. A cloud of warmth in winter. The town square fell into near silence, save for a distant church bell marking the hour. Ashley felt her heart shift again. Slowly, tenderly, inevitably. Somewhere inside that shift lived the truth she had resisted. She did not hate him. She had not forgotten him. And she had not stopped wishing things had turned out differently. But maybe now they could. "Walk with me?" Simon asked softly, offering the gentlest invitation. Ashley nodded, surprised by the calm in her response. They walked beneath the glowing lanterns, footsteps crunching softly in the fresh snow. The world around them was quiet. Christmas Eve quiet. Holy quiet. They passed storefronts decorated with wreaths and twinkling lights, past benches dusted with snow, past memories they had both outgrown. They stopped near the bridge overlooking the frozen creek. The water was still, reflecting the Christmas lights like strands of gold woven across ice. "I used to imagine moments like this," Simon admitted, voice fragile, "back when I knew I'd messed everything up." Ashley turned her head slightly. "Did you imagine them with me?" He nodded. Every time. Her heart tightened. Not painfully, but with something warm and long suppressed. "Simon, you're not the boy I knew anymore." "No," he said softly. "I'm finally becoming the man my mother hoped I'd be, and the man I should have been to you." Ashley blinked tears away, not from hurt, but from recognition, growth, redemption. He stepped one breath closer but still kept respectful distance. "If you ever choose to let me be part of your life, even as a friend, I'll treat that as grace." Ashley looked up at him, really seeing him, not the boy from the past, but the man before her. A man forged by truth, softened by regret, humbled by love he never expected another chance to feel. "You're different," she whispered. "And for the first time, I believe it." The truth in her voice made his breath falter. A hush settled over the square as lanterns dimmed slightly, and the Christmas tree glowed brighter, casting a warm halo around them. Ashley felt her pulse echo the soft golden rhythm. She didn't fully understand what she was choosing, but healing rarely comes with clarity. It comes with courage. And tonight, she had just enough of it. "Simon," she murmured, stepping closer. He froze, gentle, reverent, waiting. Ashley lifted her hand slowly until her glove touched his cheek, brushing away a melting snowflake. His breath hitched at the tenderness he didn't expect. "I don't forgive everything," she whispered. "I don't forget everything." "I wouldn't trust myself if you did," he whispered back. "But I'm willing to start again," she finished softly. And that changed everything. He closed his eyes, overwhelmed. When he opened them, they held something quiet and holy, like a man staring at redemption he never earned. "Ashley, may I?" She didn't let him finish. She stepped the final inch between them, her hands sliding gently up to his collar, and under the glow of the Christmas tree she kissed him, softly, slowly, bravely. It wasn't a kiss of erasing the past. It was a kiss of rewriting the future, of choosing truth over fear, healing over memory, hope over silence. Snow fell around them like blessings, gathering in their hair, their coats, their eyelashes. When they finally parted, they stood forehead to forehead, breathing the same fragile winter air. "Merry Christmas, Simon," she whispered. His voice broke with emotion. "Merry Christmas, Ashley. Thank you for beginning again."